Did you know that making a bundt cake can actually be more than just making a dessert? It can actually rewire your thinking about your wealth. You can attract more money, more wealth, more prosperity into your life by baking a bundt cake if you do it the way I tell you to. Today we're making a pumpkin butterscotch abundance bundt. So let's gather up those ingredients and let's start cooking. I think, in fact, most people don't realize that the way in which you speak about your finances directly impacts them. It's almost like a cause and effect, because we have these phrases that we just hear in society, in our families, things that we grew up hearing our parents say, right? Like we just say these things, and by saying them, you incorporate them into your subconscious mind. So anytime you say something like "that's too expensive," you're letting your subconscious mind know that that's not something that's for you. That's not available to you. It's not possible for you. It limits you. It's just not meant for you. And that's not the case. It's not the case, okay? So we need to really look at our language, because our language impacts our feelings, which also directly impacts our thoughts. And all of that is in our subconscious mind. That's why this is so important. When you say things like, "I don't have enough money," that directly translates in your subconscious mind to "I'm not enough." When you say things like, "I'll never be able to afford that," that's another way of telling yourself that you're failing. Are these things that you would say to yourself? No, of course not. If you say something like "that's too expensive," like I already talked about, that equals saying, "I'll never be able to truly live the life I want to live." Can you believe that? Those statements that might seem so benign and so like whatever actually mean I'm not enough, I'm failing, and I'm not meant to live the life I'm meant to live. You must change your language in order to shift that money mindset. Remember, before you mix all your ingredients, I want you to say your cooking therapy intention. Stepping into my kitchen, I embrace cooking as my therapy. With every recipe, I elevate my energy and my life. Okay, so here you see me mixing all my wet ingredients together. While you're doing this, I want you to ask yourself the question, what phrases do I often say about money? Are they positive or are they negative? Right? Like, what did I learn about money from my family? What statements am I always saying about money? Just answer these questions as you're mixing up these ingredients. Okay, so here you see me mixing all of my ingredients together, and during this phase, I'm going to need you to make the vow to yourself that you are changing your money language and you are no longer going to say these statements. Okay, so I just put my bundt cake into the oven. It's going to bake at 350 for about 45 minutes or so, which gives us plenty of time to dive more into this whole money language. Okay, so you've now discovered some of your most common money phrases, right? We did that during the mixing part. So here are some ways you can change your language, because as you know, your language is shaping your subconscious mind. So instead of saying something like, "that's too expensive," I want you to try out saying something like, "Wow, that's very bougie," or "that's very luxurious." Okay? See how that sounds? Bougie, luxurious. It's not saying it's beyond you, or it's not something, you're not saying you can't have it. You're simply saying, "Wow, that seems like a really big luxury." See the difference there, the energetic shift? I know you can. Okay, so if you're someone who says things like, "Oh, I can't afford that," let's shake it up and let's say something like, "That's not where I want to spend my money." Or, "I'm not sure that's something I want to invest in right now." Again, how empowering is that statement versus saying, "I can't afford that," right? So if you say both of those together, which I'm sure most of you do, you could say, "Wow, that's so luxurious, but you know what? I'm not sure I want to put my money there." So the next thing I want you to try to do while your cake is baking to help you shift your money mindset into a much more positive money language situation, which is what we're here to do, I'm going to need you to visualize. This is so perfect because, again, you have 45 minutes. So you've tried on the new statements of money language. You see how that feels. Now let's visualize. Visualizing is so important. And I feel like most people completely disregard its power, but it's powerful. And what I love about visualizing is it doesn't cost anything and you can do it anywhere. and it doesn't take very long. So you really have no reason to not do this. So what you do to visualize is I'm going to need you to decide over the next couple of weeks to a month, okay? So we're not talking the rest of your life. Let's look at like a 2-week to 4-week period. I want you to decide how much money you would like to attract into your life. How much money do you want to make at your job? How much money do you want to call in from your business, from your part-time side hustle, whatever? How much money would you love to have right now? Don't stress about what you're gonna, like, why or how, or just decide how much you would like, okay? It's really that simple. Between the next 2 and 4 weeks, how much money would you like, okay? Now, I want you to decide, what are you gonna do with that money, okay? So like, you have to decide what the money is gonna go towards. Money loves to have a purpose. It can't just like sit in your bank account because it makes you feel safe. That's not the answer. So decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to pay for your next vacation? Do you want to take your kids to the beach? Do you want to invest the money into your 401k? Like, what would you like to do with this money? Okay, so decide how much, decide what you're going to do with it. And then here comes the visualizing part. Now you can put on some music. You can lay down, you can go outside, you can go for a walk. You can do whatever you want as long as your mind is clear and open. And I just want you to kind of daydream. Visualizing is no different than daydreaming. It's no different than using your imagination. You're just gonna start thinking and getting excited about this money. So the first thing I want you to visualize is, what would it be like to get that money? What would it be like? Like, oh my God, did I just get $5,000 for no reason? What would that be like, right? What would it feel like? What would it do? Like, tell me, I want you to imagine in your mind, don't tell me. Imagine in your mind, what would it feel like? What would it be like? Oh my God, what would you say? Like, how would you react, right? Like, create that scene in your mind, okay? Now, the second part of this visualization is I want you to then imagine your life doing the thing you said you would do with that money. Whether it's you're going to the beach now with your children, you're putting the money into your 401k, whatever you said you were going to do, I want you to imagine and daydream you doing that.